Welcome back to the Growth Over Goals podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Montgomery. And today we're doing a solo podcast. You're stuck with me. We're talking about something that's so important to each and every person listening. And it's the topic of relationships. But more specifically, we're talking about your relationship building system. I know this sounds funny. I love to ask people this question. Do you have a system for building relationships? And most people will say, what do you mean? Or that doesn't require a system. I just sort of do that organically and naturally. I don't need a system for building relationships. Well, if you're in the people business, if you're in the business of leading people, if you work with people, if you influence people, I would argue that you do need a relationship building system. You've got a system for everything else that you do in your business life and maybe even in your personal life. In your business life, for example, you might have a system for prospecting or a system for business development, a system for conducting your meetings, a system for certain types of meetings. So we have a system for so much of what we do, but for most people, they don't have a system for that which is most important if you're in the people business, which is the art of building relationships. James Clear said it this way: goals are great for setting a direction. Systems are best for making progress. Tell me if you've ever had this sort of thing happen to you. Maybe you go to an event, you're at the ball game, you're at the grocery store, you're at church, and you bump into somebody and you think to yourself after a brief interaction with that person, I'd love to sit down with them and have a deeper conversation. Maybe it's about the type of work you do. Maybe it's about business. Maybe it's about community. Maybe you serve on a nonprofit board and you'd like to tell them about your initiatives. But the point is this: you have this small interaction. You really enjoy the interaction. You talk to them for 1 or 2 minutes, you catch up, and then that moment fades. And then you don't talk to them again for another year. The point is there's no system that keeps you connected to that person, that allows you to add value, that allows you to keep that person top of mind. Life moves fast, the moment fades, and you don't end up building the type of relationship that you wish you had. I would argue that this works not only in business, but life in general. Maybe as you seek to establish certain types of relationships, you could consider your relationship building system. Again, if you work in the nonprofit world, you should have a relationship building system. Certainly, if you work in the people business and if you value people, you should have a relationship building system. What are we going to do with this system? I would argue that you look at it once a week. Maybe it's on a Monday morning and you're just going to ask yourself some questions. You're going to ask yourself, and you might even ask your team. If you collaborate with a team, if you work with a team, and I'd have you do this in 3 different directions. 3 words I want to give you today is you build out this system. Here's the first word. The first word is promote. We want to promote people that we care about, that we value, and that we want to continue to value, but also to grow close to. This isn't just about attracting new relationships. This is about retaining and strengthening existing relationships. What do we know about promoting people? What we know about promoting people is that the most basic human need is they need to be seen and they need to be known. Psychologically, our most basic human need is the need to be known and the need to be seen. Most individuals want to be recognized. They want to be appreciated. They want to be noticed. And so what if we became the type of person that helped other people get promoted at work, that helped other people get a new job, that helped other people get recognized, that helped other people win an award? What if you made it your mission? It's part of your system. You said to yourself every Monday, okay, I'm going to promote some people this week. Who do I need to promote, and how am I going to promote them or elevate them this week? Let me just give you some examples of some things that you could do to promote the people that you care about. You might start writing a review online. They might have a small business that they operate, or if they're in the people business, they're a real estate agent, they're a mortgage lender, they're an accountant, they're an attorney. Go write them a review. Maybe they have a podcast. For example, this podcast. I love when people review our podcast. It's a big deal to me. That's a form of promotion. It's a way to say, I see you, you matter. I want to recognize you. I support you. I'm for you. That's promotion. You could also use social media as a tool. There's an endorse button on LinkedIn. I love this. When you click the endorse button on LinkedIn, on the other side of that endorsement, this person gets a notification. It takes you about 10 seconds to endorse someone on LinkedIn. This person immediately gets a notification that's attached to your name, and it creates a positive impression. Will this win you a relationship? No. Does it earn you a client? No. But does it create a positive impression attached to your name? The answer is yes. So use the endorse button on LinkedIn. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, if you're active on social media channels, or even if you don't like social media, I would argue this is an idea and a tool for you. What if once a month you decided to make a social media post about somebody you care about? This could be an existing relationship. It could even be somebody on the fringe that you'd like to get to know better. But it's just a sort of an admiration or appreciation post. I have a client that we work with. He's actually anti-social media. So this guy isn't active on social media, doesn't really like social media, sees social media as almost a bit of a distraction. But I said, John, stay with me. I want you to try this. I want you to focus on a couple of people that you care about, and I just want you to try posting about them on social media. This is going to be an appreciation post. It doesn't need to be overly specific, but just try to express your thoughts and feelings about these people and post it to social media. So he does it. He's got this couple. They're restaurateurs in the small town that he lives in. They own a few restaurants, and they've really been responsible for creating an atmosphere for people to connect and get together for quite some time. So John makes a post about Karen and Kyle and just shares his appreciation. Karen and Kyle have owned restaurants in our town for quite some time. They have been creating an atmosphere for people to connect and discuss, and so much of what gets done in our town happens inside the walls of their restaurants. If they've ever meant anything to you, or if you've ever enjoyed an experience at their restaurant, would you comment below and give them a shout out? Maybe even share a specific memory. Okay, again, John is anti-social. He doesn't do a lot on social media. But what happened as a result of this post? 99 comments and 430 likes later. It took 24 hours for my friend John, our client John, to create a really cool experience for Karen and Kyle as person after person after person dropped into the comments to share a fun memory and something specific about the way that Karen and Kyle had touched them through their restaurant business. That's an awesome way to promote people, an awesome example of where promotion can really drive relationship. So we want to promote people. You can use social media. You could nominate somebody for an award. If there's a 40 under 40 in your town, there's a business woman of the year, business person of the year, small business of the year, nominate your clients, help them to get on those lists, elevate them, promote them, help them to be recognized and appreciated. Why? Because psychologically, our greatest need is the need to be seen and known. Number 2, we want you to connect people. We're going to promote, and we're also going to connect. What if every Monday you asked yourself this question? Who do I need to connect this week? Back to building relationships. I have so many people that we coach, and they want to get more connected. They often ask a question either directly or indirectly that sounds like this. I would love to be in that circle, or I'd love to get to know those types of people. How do I get connected into that group? How do I have more clients in that group or that segment? What do I do to get connected? Here's what I would have you write down if you're the note-taking type. Connected people are connecting people, and connecting people are connected people. In other words, if you want to get connected, you've got to start connecting. For so many business leaders, they track how many referrals they get, but they don't track how many referrals they give. If you want to be the type of person that gets introduced, then get busy introducing people. Some of the best connectors that I know have made this a regular priority, and as a result, they are some of the most connected. I want to give a shout out to my friend Tom Seelick. Tom works at West Bank in Coralville, Iowa, has for years. And to know Tom Seelick is to know connection. I mean, Tom just connects people with people. He's created so much opportunity through his connections over the years. And the magic of the way that Tom connects people is he doesn't make it about business. He doesn't always give a specific reason for the connection. He just says, hey, you're a great person and you're a great person, and the two of you should know each other. You have some things in common, or you live in the same part of town. You have some mutual friends. I just believe that if the two of you got together, the world would be a better place. I'm suggesting that you make this your own, put your own spin and your own tweak on it. But if you start connecting people, you'll get connected. One of the greatest gifts that you could give to another human is a relationship. Think about who you need to connect. Number 3 is the word serve. Promote, connect, serve. Winston Churchill famously said, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. We want to live in the service mode. We want to be of service to others. Again, if you're focused on building relationships, we want to add obsessive and relentless value to the people that we get to lead and interact with day in and day out. And we want to do it without any strings attached. I want to let you in on something we started to do with our podcast that has been a little bit unique, but it's also allowed us to establish some really cool, impactful relationships. I used to say on our podcast, as a backdrop, something to the effect of, we'd like to add value to you, or how can I serve you? How can I add value? And it sort of happened in the context of, regular conversation. And I started to notice as I had that conversation that nobody ever really responded with any kind of specifics. In other words, it maybe almost felt like a throwaway question that I didn't really mean. And I think we do that in everyday interaction, right? Like, hey, if I can help you, if I can be of value to you, let me know. Anything I can do to help. And very few people ever respond to that. So here's what I did. And then I'm going to tell you what you can do that I think will make a difference in how you develop relationships. At the top of the conversation, I explained to our podcast guests, I am committed to serving the 50 guests that I get to interview this year. I can't serve everyone, but I can make an intentional decision to serve about 50 people that we interview on our podcast. I wouldn't expect you to know exactly how we can add value to you right now, but I want you to be thinking about that over the course of our conversation. And what I often find is even after our conversation, people still need to sit on it and get back to us. But I want you to know, I mean it when I say, we want to add value to you this year. I come back to that at the end of the podcast conversation, and you'd be amazed how many times people will respond to that question when they know that you mean it, they know that you're serious, and you take time to communicate it in an authentic way. I've had people say, my son is struggling. He's a freshman at college. Would you pray for him? He's going through a big transition. I've had people say, my daughter wants to get into the speaking business. She wants to do more of what you do. Would you help her get connected? We've had people tell us about their nonprofit work. For some people, it's they want to get more connected in business. For some people, it's just, hey, we just want to stay connected and be friends, and that's fine too. But ask the question, how can I serve you? How can I add value to you? And remember that you can add value in the simplest of ways, through your attention, through your time, through your support, through your empathy. Get busy serving people. Ask yourself the question every Monday, who do I need to add value to this week? Who do I need to connect this week? Who can I promote this week? I'm going to promote, I'm going to connect, and I'm going to serve. My belief is that we fail to grow certain types of relationships, not because we don't know how to grow them, not because we don't have great intentions to grow them, but because we simply don't have a system in place to grow them. James Clear famously said, goals are great for setting a direction. Systems are best for making progress. Get serious about your relationship building system. Promote, connect, and serve. Hey, I hope we've added a little bit of value to you today. Wherever this conversation finds you, maybe you're thinking about this in the context of business. Maybe you're thinking about this in the context of community. Maybe you're just thinking about this in the context of friendship. At the end of the day, one of the greatest gifts that you can give to another human is a new relationship. We were created to be relational beings. I hope that you'll take some of what we talked about today and implement it in your own life and in your own journey. Thank you for tuning in to the Growth Over Goals podcast. My name is Jordan Montgomery, and I'm honored that you took the time to hang out with me. And I hope, again, that you found some value in this message. I want to give a shout out to John Cho and James Roth of Storyline Multimedia that do so much work behind the scenes to make this podcast go. Again, if you found value in today's episode or any of our previous episodes, I would love it if you would rate, review, and share this episode with somebody else that you care about in an effort that we might move our mission of impact forward. Thanks for joining us. Be well, be great. Have a wonderful day.